When is real estate an asset and when is it a liability? Now, I would say if you have rental properties, they can be an asset. Now, sometimes they can perform well, sometimes they can't perform well, sometimes they're risky in some markets and some situations, and sometimes they're not risky. But essentially, real estate rentals do have a yield. You have your costs and you have your revenues. But it's a bit like running your own business in a way, but it can produce cash flows, right? It can produce income. So whether or not it's a good asset or a bad asset is one question, but it's certainly an asset anyway. However, your primary residence in some ways is a liability. Now, not always, right? If you've got a big mortgage, there has been plenty of people who have paid off that mortgage and they've made really good money on the house. They've sold it, they bought another asset which has produced income or something like that. So eventually it's become an asset. However, in the early years, if you've got a huge mortgage, of course, in addition to the other costs like the insurance and other things, it is a liability in many ways because in essence, right, unless you downsize that property when you're older and get a yield from it, you're just hoping that the person coming after you is going to pay more for it. In other words, if you buy a $200,000 house and you're hoping that that's going to be your retirement nest egg because in 30 years' time, the area you're living in is going to be developed, essentially you're just hoping that the person coming after you is going to pay more for the asset than you have, which is a type of speculation, right? You hear many people say, oh, I'm going to buy in Cambodia or whatever because I think that Cambodia or Georgia or Bulgaria or Romania, they're going to be the next Dubai and I'm going to make loads of money. Now, that might be the case, right? That might happen. Or they might be the next Tunisia and Egypt and actually fall off a cliff or even Venezuela, right? But in a way, it's a speculation, right? Whereas cash flow is actually the key. If your asset is providing you cash flow, even if it's a 2% yield, 3% yield, or 30% yield, which obviously there are many assets like that, but it is actually in that case an asset. Whereas if something is costing you money and you're just hoping that it will go up, it's a liability in many ways, even if the asset does eventually go up. And in which case it could become an asset, but you're really speculating on that. So I would say that use a house as a home where possible. If you want homes as an investment, focus on things like real estate investment trusts or rental property as opposed to primary residence, and that's much more sensible. Okay, everyone, have a good day.